Lewis Johnson, Caddo Commissioner. Hey, Mr. Lewis, welcome back to Keel. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing real good, Robert. How are you this morning?
You guys are big decision to make coming up soon. You are entrusted with selecting a new registrar of voters. I know Erin's heard a lot of stuff. I know she sort of talked with you before before this conversation. She'll get to that in a couple of seconds. Going into this, what kind of conversations are you having with other commissioners? What are you thinking? What kind of conversations are you allowed to have with other commissioners about this process?
I appreciate that question. I think that primarily the conversation that I've had for the most part is simply awaiting the information as relates to the various candidates. Of course, we've had opportunities to speak to several of the candidates by phone or email or visits otherwise. But I think for the most part, we've just simply talked about who we know as best we can and have examined the resumes and kind of moving forward from there.
Lewis, I'm sorry I call you Lewis.
That's okay. That's who I am.
We go back a little ways.
That's right.
There's the talk that the 6 Democrats are going to hold out for one particular candidate and that you're not going to budge and that the deal is in, the fix is in. And then I've had other people tell me that they're hearing that Lewis Johnson is not going to be a part of that. He won't play a role in that he's going to vote for the best candidate. So let me ask you, is that what you're going to do? And if yes, what are you looking for in the candidate?
My goodness. I don't know if I fully understand or agree with that question, the way that you phrased it.
Okay.
So let me address that, if you would.
Fix my question for me.
No, I'm going to stick to your question.
No, I mean, fix it.
Fix it. Thank you very much.
Please.
Thank you. And the reason I say that is that you're speaking specifically about the black candidates, and that's fine. Okay. And every candidate, every commissioner has both a right and a responsibility to vote. We'll agree on that.
You bet.
Now, with that being the case, I am no different from not only any of the other black candidates, I'm no different from any of the other white candidates. So to suggest that I am going to not vote with anyone else and vote for who I think is the best candidate, that would be accurate. But I also feel strongly, and I'm convinced that every other member is voting for who they think is the best candidate. So with that question as it is, it appears that because it's been said, or I guess it's been said, that some of the black candidates have gotten together, that they are not voting for the best candidate. And I disagree with that. So to answer your question, yes, I am going to look at the resumes, which is what I am doing and have done. And I think the other commissioners are doing the same, both black and white. And I'm going to make a vote based on who I think is the best. But I think that every other candidate, including the black commissioners, are going to vote for who they think is the best candidate. So I'm not any different in that respect.
Have you heard that rumor, though, that the Democratic commissioners were going to hold out? I mean, I've gotten it from 2 pretty reliable folks who said the Democrats were going to form a bond and not budge on their vote. Have you heard the rumor?
I appreciate the question. In the position that I am in, I make it a practice, and it's served me pretty well to recognize and to view rumors as just that. But to answer your question specifically, I have heard that rumor and others. I heard that my fellow commissioners, as relates to the Republican commissioners, have met and made a decision to do the same. I do not hold that to be so because I do not know that to be so.
Gotcha.
But, of course, I know that it's been said that the black commissioners have met prior. I'm very well aware of that. So, yes, I am aware of that, and I have heard the rumor of that, and on the other side, and a number of other rumors as well.
Mr. Lewis, on the other hand, setting all of these rumors aside, at some point, coalitions are in fact going to have to be formed, deals, and I don't mean that in a nasty or political way. Deals are going to have to be made. Guys are going to have to get together for a candidate to get the required, I think it's 7 votes, right? So
yes, as I appreciate it is 7, Robert.
Going into this, how close do you think you might be? I mean, this is almost like picking a presidential candidate at a convention that doesn't have a clear-cut majority. You could have, there's 12 of you guys. It could be 12 different votes. How long do you
Absolutely.
anticipate it's going to take to put a deal together to settle on one guy or
I
woman?
really appreciate that question, and that's not nasty at all. And it's really not political. It's just the way that the rules identify the process. So that's not a bad thing. And I really don't know, but I don't really think that. I don't see there being one for this guy and two for that guy or that type of thing. So as it relates to coalition, I don't know, but it sounds like that's viewed as a negative thing, but I don't view it as necessarily negative. And the reason I do not is that throughout my time on the commission, it is not, as you can appreciate, it's not uncommon for people, be it myself and whomever, or be it John and Stormy or whomever, people who have interests, it's not uncommon to communicate those interests prior in order to get a pretty much a consensus as to where different people are. So I don't know what it would take. And, of course, I can see how it could take several rounds in order to identify candidates that we're going to go with. And the reason I can see that is because after looking at the resumes, I tell you, we have a group of really quality and qualified candidates. So it will not be an easy task in that respect. But I think that there are obviously some who have a lean one way or another. So I don't see it being a very long process, but it potentially could be.
Louis, pretend like I'm let's say, state senator, and I call you up, and I say, Louis, we're friends. We go back a long way. I really need you to support this guy for registrar of voters. A, is that appropriate? B, what do you tell that elected official? And let's pretend it's any elected official. What do you say to him?
And I would imagine that's happened to almost all of you guys at this point, right?
Yes, I would say now whether or not it's appropriate. I don't know if I could really answer that. I think there are some who would say, well, that's not appropriate, and I respect that. But anyone who is going to be absolutely honest and transparent, whether it's in the political realm, professional or personal, if I have a relationship or if I have a friend, if I need some tickets to the Captain Street game, I might call and say, hey, man, you guys got any tickets to the game? Which is simply what people with relationships do. But if a senator or anyone calls me and they are asking me to vote a particular way simply based on their relationship with a candidate, be it appropriate or inappropriate, I am not and I will not make a vote based on that. But nor do I find it to be a negative thing because I've done this long enough, as have you, to know that those things do happen. But because of the responsibility and the confidence that the people who elected me have in me, they expect me to use a greater criteria than that to decide who I vote on and to whom I give my vote. So I would not do that, but that does happen. It has happened at one point or another, on one vote or another, and I understand that, but I am not inclined to do that, and I can stand and say that I have not done it, and I will not do it.